June 17th meeting of the Select Board. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. The Grafton Municipal Center and Grafton Public Library will be closed this Thursday, June 19th, in observation of Juneteenth. Both buildings will operate during their normal, regular business hours on Friday. The Grafton Police Department's Sergeant Spellman will be back at the Senior Center next Thursday, June 26th, for office hours from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Join him for a cup of coffee, some conversation, and a chance to share any concerns you may have. The Community Nursing Association of Grafton and the Health Department are offering a CPR course for Grafton residents on June 30th, 2025. Registration is required, and those interested can reserve a seat by calling the Grafton Health Department at 508-839-5335, extension 1580. Okay, those are all our announcements for tonight. We don't have any public hearings, so we can move into appointments. Okay. I see you're on Zoom. Our first appointment is for our constable position, and Miss Colleen is available. So if you want to come off mute and say hi.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Mariah Colleen, and I live here in town. I work full-time for a local private investigation agency. I'm applying to be a constable to assist in my job. I do a lot of work for lawyers and conduct legal services, and I just wanted to be an additional resource for them if needed. So I sent over my driver's license copy, and I'm happy to complete what other necessary paperwork there might be.
Thank you so much. Does the board have any comments or questions that they'd like to ask? Mr. Almo.
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you giving us that introduction. It was really impressive to read through your credentials and your resume and everything that you're going to bring to the role. So happy to see you come aboard.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Mr. Alamo?
Mr. Chair, I move the board vote to appoint Mariah Colleen as constable for the town of Grafton.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none by roll call. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphiné?
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Great. Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Thank
You are
you.
welcome to stay, but under no obligation.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
You too. Okay, next up, we have Noah Hogg for the Conservation Commission. Hi, Noah.
Hello.
Would you care to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're applying?
Sure. So I'm Noah. I'm a recent graduate of Northeastern with my master's degree in environmental science and policy. I've lived in town for a few years now, and I'm looking forward to the way to get involved in town. I've been a member of the Sustainable Grafton Group for a while now, and I want to get more involved in more town-centered conservation efforts.
Excellent. Any questions or comments from the board?
Nope.
Okay, I will echo my past comment and just say again, your resume really seemed cut out for this role, and excited for what you're going to bring to it. Thank you for applying.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
I move the board vote to appoint Noah Hogg to the Conservation Commission.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none by roll call. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphiné?
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much. The town administrator's office will be in touch for your appointment.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. Next up, we have 3 election workers. We do not require them to come in for their appointments, so we can go right into motion on that one.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I move the board vote to appoint Dorothy Namiento, Rita Zeffert, and Alice Perkins as election workers for the town of Grafton.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none by roll call. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, I.
Mr. Dauphiné.
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Welcome aboard to our election workers. Okay, we have a handful of TA appointments. We'll just, I'll take a moment, I guess, and list them out. We're gonna do a bulk motion on the first few, so, we're looking to appoint Ken Grew to the Board of Assessors, Brooke Paget to the Board of Sewer Commissioners, Chief Minardi is the keeper of the lockup, Stephen Crowley and Amy Smith to the Recreation Commission, and then re-up all the members of the Traffic Safety Committee. Mr. Alamo, do you want to hit us with a motion?
I would love to, Mr. Chair. I move the board vote to affirm the reappointment of Ken Grew to the Board of Assessors, Brooke Paget to the Board of Sewer Commissioners, Chief Minardi as Keeper of the Lockup, Stephen Crowley and Amy Smith to the Recreation Commission, John Bouchard, Paul Canoyer, Chief Minardi, Dan
Borgazowski.
Borgazelski, John Ryle, Scott Rossiter, and Brian Zerko to the Traffic Safety Committee.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, by roll call, Ms. Foley,
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo,
Alamo, I.
Mr. Dauphiné.
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we have one more appointment for traffic control agents.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
I move the board to vote to affirm the appointment of John Mulvey, Jeremiah O'Rourke, Michael Girardi, Darnell McGee, Sean Murray, James Ward as traffic control agents.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, by roll call, Ms. Foley,
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo,
Alamo, I.
Mr. Dauphiné.
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes. Okay, moving into new business, we have our joint meeting with the Finance Committee for end of year fiscal year 25 interfund transfers. So we'll give them a moment to come up and get organized.
Well, thank you. Hello, gentlemen, and Ms. Foley, thank you for having us this evening for a joint meeting to get these fund transfers complete.
Welcome, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So I will call to order this meeting of the Finance Committee tonight at 7:08. Today is June 17th. Here in person, we have Dan Kusher and Victoria Duckworth. And on Zoom, we have Heather McHugh, Skip, and Angelina. That makes 5 of us. That is a quorum.
Okay, very good. See, Mary is on Zoom. Evan, is this something we'll have Mary lead on? Or
Sure.
you, or anybody?
Yeah.
I can take the lead on this.
All right.
Thanks, Mary.
So I submitted our annual interfund transfer, and I'll just highlight, a few changes. For the school department, the original capital plan included a PA system replacement across multiple school buildings. However, after reassessing their operational needs, the department determined that only the Grafton Middle School and North Street Elementary School required these upgrades at this time. As a result, I reallocated funds previously designated for other schools to support the approved projects at the Grafton Middle School and North Street Elementary School. So you'll see a lot of transfers from the old accounts over to the ones that are needed. The highway department required additional funding for 2 vehicle purchases, truck 44 and the 1-ton dump truck, due to higher than anticipated quotes. To ensure these essential replacements could proceed, I transferred the funds accordingly. In reviewing salary-related accounts, I identified unspent balances that could be repurposed. For example, the inspector position, which remained vacant until recently, had a 36,000 unused funds. These savings were reallocated to offset shortfalls in other salary accounts across departments. Within the police department, we realized significant salary savings due to strategic staffing decisions. 2 lieutenant positions had been budgeted for, but hiring was delayed until February of the current fiscal year. This resulted in over 100,000 in unspent salary funds. Additional staffing changes contributed to these savings as well. These funds were reallocated to meet several critical needs, including 22,400 for IT communication upgrades, 48,000 for building repairs and maintenance within the police department, 37,200 for staff training and equipment. There was a budgeting error in the DPW building construction account, which falls under the debt principal, required an additional 35,000 to correct. Additionally, the temporary debt interest payment came in 2,600 over the estimated budget. Several other miscellaneous adjustments were necessary to balance the accounts to ensure continued operations. 3,000 to the inspection department for employee training, a transfer to eliminate a deficit in the elections food account, 8,000 transfer to address an under budgeted line in the animal control officer, 18,000 to legal services where invoices have exceeded expectations due to a higher volume of legal activity and the resolution of backlog of matters. Finally, I addressed a 3,000 deficit in the snow and ice account to bring that line into balance. These transfers were made to ensure all departments can close out the fiscal year without deficit and continue to provide essential services without interruption. Let me know if you have any additional questions.
I'm just curious, Mr. Chair, about the truck. What happened? We got quoted something and it's,
Yeah, and one of the things that happens is, we get quotes 6 months in
Yep.
in advance,
Yep.
and then the truck takes 2 years to come in, and so it's that old chestnut. So it's just rising costs, and we didn't change the scope or add anything special to it.
thank you.
Just a question, Mr. Chair, for the police department.
Yeah.
100,000 unspent salary funds due to the pushing of the 2 lieutenant positions. So it looks like we spent that money on capital for the most part. A little training in there. So, so 48,000 for building repairs and maintenance. Like
I can tell you what they are.
Yeah.
Sure. So, it's about $7,000 to repair the exterior of the building. So that's power washing all of the brick and then seal coating to make that last longer. Re-epoxying the garage floors and the sally ports. Parking lot crack seal, parking lot seal coat. There's some fitness room mats, some defensive tactics training room, and defensive tactics equipment. So these are all kind of backlog things, and you've got a new chief who's trying to kind of bring the place into his vision and ship shape. We also were trying to pave the parking lot when we did the municipal center and weren't able to do that with the funds that we had. So he had identified seal coating it as a stopgap.
What year was that built? Is that like-
2016?
Wow, we're already fixing the parking lot. It's not even 10 years old.
Maybe it's not 2016. 2006.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seemed like it was.
It has a
older
6
than
in it.
Well, maybe you should try
Yeah.
concrete.
that. We should never have to fix it. Okay. And the school department, it doesn't really say where that says it's going to. The middle school and North Street Elementary School, but they're just shifting funds from that intercom system into, do you know what they're doing with that?
Yeah, I think it says it on here, transfer to account name.
Just said,
So
This-
where are we at here? PA replacement. So what they're doing is they had a whole bunch of PA systems they were trying to replace. And then decided to do a major replace at just the two schools, North,
oh, okay, so
North
it's the
Street,
same
right.
project, just.
same project,
Yeah.
just it's
Money
shrunken.
was allocated to all 6 schools, but then they determined that it was really only needed for 2 schools. And then those quotes came in higher, so they wanted to reallocate the money from the 6 schools to the 2 schools that were needed for the PA system.
And again, that comes out of capital, right?
It's already been
It's already
It's
in.
already been like
Yeah.
all of this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
already
yeah.
appropriated. So we're
Right.
just moving
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things, the other piece is that South Grafton Elementary needs a new fire alarm system, and so they had leftover funds in their carpet project and part of a PA project. So they, again, recoup that money and reallocate it over to this fire alarm panel.
Okay, great, thank you.
Ms. Foley?
Yeah, so just, I think maybe Mary just answered my question. So I had the similar question relative to the schools. So it was that the PA systems came in that much higher, so therefore they took from the other schools.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, elections food account, what is that?
Oh, so when we do training for our election workers, they work for us all day. So they're working like 7 in the morning to 8 at night. So we do feed them, and the cost has increased.
Okay, thanks. That's all I had.
Yes. So first, I want to say thank Mary. There was a lot of work clearly went into this, and the narrative that was included in the packet actually answered all the questions of substance that I had. There was just one typo that I wanted to point out on line 8, the 8th row. It says MGES for the name of the school. Just wanted to say, like, for the record, it's clearly, I think, supposed to be MSES. But I think as long as the account number is right, that probably doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just figured you could interpret that as also being SGES.
Oh, it could. I think should have been MSES.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Skip, do you have a question? Skip, please.
Skip?
Yeah, I just had a question about the animal control officer where we found that we had shorted that $8,000 this year. It seems like that took another kind of a hefty jump in the coming fiscal year.
It did. So the
hold on,
town
Mary.
of Westboro hired
Hold on,
an
Mary.
additional staff member.
Mary,
To
hold-
that's why the budget increased. Are you talking about FY26, Skip?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the number for FY26 is inaccurate. I reviewed it today with the town of Westboro, and so the budget that we carried at town meeting is essentially the entire budget for animal control. So that $98,000 number that went to town meeting, we owe 38% of that. So we'll be adjusting that down and correcting it at town meeting.
Okay.
Great news.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So sorry about that. That was confusing.
that's a good question then, huh?
Yep.
Ms. Foley?
Bit of a tangent, but then does that answer the gentleman who came up at town meeting's concern, essentially,
Sure does.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay,
Sure
thanks.
does. Yep. And we did clock's probably not the word, but we did note the 2 folks that had questions. And while we don't have a way to direct contact, we did talk about just dropping them a letter in the mail to just answer their questions and talk about that error. So we'll follow up with them as well.
Sure, they appreciate that.
Skip's on top of his game, that's all I can say. You haven't lost it yet, Skip.
Well,
You already have.
Any additional questions from the select board? Any additional questions or feedback from the finance committee? Okay. Mr. Alamo, I believe we could take a motion.
okay, Mr. Chair, thank you. I move the board vote to approve the inter-fund transfers for fiscal year 2025 as presented and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Do we go through everybody, or I'll do me and then Victoria can handle her people?
You can do it either way. Why don't you do it separate?
Okay, we'll do it separate. Okay. By roll call, Ms. Foley,
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo,
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphin,
Dauphin, aye.
Mr. Jefferson, aye. Motion passes the select board unanimously.
Perfect. And I can take a motion to approve the interfund transfers for the finance committee.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Perfect. Okay, we'll start on Zoom. Heather,
Aye.
Skip,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Victoria says aye. That passes unanimously.
Thank you all for coming in tonight.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Do you have reserve requests that you have to do tonight?
I think we do have 2 reserve requests we need to do tonight. Would you mind terribly if we did our 2 reserve requests?
Not at all.
Thank you very much. Mary, thank you for sending these reserve requests over as well. There are 2 on our agenda. One is for $7,800 for some legal work, and one is for $1,719 for Colette Motors. I just had one question on behalf of Greg Marr, who cannot join us this evening as he is traveling internationally. And that is that the invoice for the Colette Motors job is for $1,219, right? And the transfer request is for $1,719. So
There is 1719. There was an additional estimate for some work to be done. So it is on that invoice somewhere.
It's highlighted, I believe, the sublet, but I think,
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
subject.
a sublet.
yeah, it's a sublet.
Yep, you guys are absolutely correct.
So
Correct,
that's
I missed that.
that's work that's done by another shop.
Gotcha.
So I included that. It's an estimate. I'm not sure if it's needed. Again, if the bill comes in less, it will just get closed to free cash at the end of the year.
And that's the same that happens to the remaining reserve fund, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Any additional questions? No? Okay. I can take a motion to approve these requests for transfer of funds to both Colette Motors and to Troutman Pepperlock.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Do we make it to those or to the departments?
I think it's to the departments.
To the
The
department.
departments.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
you're
I'll do it.
Okay, but let's amend the motion because you're correct. I was incorrect.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No? Okay, we'll do roll call. Heather?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Victoria's aye. That passes unanimously. Okay, great. I believe that is it for the Finance Committee tonight, so we will adjourn at 7:25. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you,
Foley.
everyone.
Okay, so the next item of business for the select board is the 2025 E-Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, which I believe we have Ms. Cedarberg, our director, and our deputy director, Mr. Kramer.
Should I be here, there,
Wherever you're comfortable.
I'd rather sit. Especially when it's such a high chair and I'm swinging my legs and you can't see.
How do I share my computer with you all? Do I hit share on Zoom?
Sure.
Little green button.
Yeah, let's just make sure we authorize share, because we normally have not.
Well, while that is being set up, the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, the written piece of it, you all received in your packets. That's what I have in my binder here. This was authorized and had to be completed since the Civil Defense Act in 1950. So we've been doing plans on this level to have for the emergency manager, and previous manager there was Ray Mead, and we've completed those multiple times. I have to say that of all the ones that I have worked on throughout my time within emergency management in Grafton, this is the most complete. What you don't see in front of you is the spreadsheets. We used to do all this stuff on Excel and everything else. It is now way beyond it. It's now put on an application that is run by Massachusetts Emergency Management, or MEMA, on WebEOC. And WebEOC is something that we can give authorization to and have to the police chief, the fire chief, plan on giving it to the town planner. It is very, very comprehensive. It was so big that MEMA had to ask us to split it in two parts. And that was like, they've never had to do that before. So this is a very detailed oriented, and I am going to turn the detail to you guys, to Todd, who did most of this work on the spreadsheet. And I have to say, outstanding. If you see this, you probably might want to mint a medal, because this is the most comprehensive plan that I think any town has within Massachusetts. So it's outstanding, the level of detail in there. Please, Todd, go show them your work.
So it's based on a spreadsheet that the state provides us, that requires us to fill out. It's 13 for
You
information.
had that.
And basically it's a directory, and it contains all the really pertinent information for places, names, contacts, and how, if an emergency were to affect the town, these are the places we go and what we do. What's really most important of all the tabs is probably our critical infrastructure list. So we've had to collate information across multiple departments in the town to be able to create a pretty comprehensive list of things that could be affected by a disaster or an emergency, and then where to go and how to deal with it. And we need this information fast. So when we're in the EOC and we need to be able to coordinate this stuff, we need quick information. So collating all this is pretty important. So we go through basic utilities through the town. We looked at every dam in the town. We've pretty much updated all of our contacts with the ownerships of the dams. We've looked at getting their plans. Like, if I need to find out if Fisherville's gonna break, I want to know how quickly the area around it will be inundated. So I have links to all the pertinent documents, so I can pull those documents immediately, look at them, look at their maps, check out the plan that they have in place for how to actually respond to the dam, and then look at their maps. So you can just get an idea that you can go through all this stuff pretty quickly.
Everything is geocoded, so it is instantly mappable, and it is very comprehensive. And we want to thank every department had input into this, which is an important consideration. This is going to be used by our town, not just in an emergency, but in general usage.
Yep. And we can, we're trying to get geolocations for everything. We know where all the pump stations are, all the wells are. We know where our water comes from, where it goes. The tabs go into many areas. So we can go into looking at how to deal with hazardous material spills. And we know who our companies are that have what's called Tier 2 reporting, where they have hazardous materials that we have to know what's in their buildings and how to respond to them. We know how to evacuate the town, what are the best routes, where to put police, how to deal with all the train traffic that we have. We've got three main train companies running through this town. We know where all their crossings are. We know who their contacts are for emergencies. This is stuff that we have to have at moment's notice. We can go through a list of the bridges. We know where all the bridges are. We have them listed as major bridges or secondary route bridges. We look at culvert bridges and all the railroad passageways. We know where they are, and they're all geolocated. We have a list of all the town buildings and all the resources within those buildings. So we're looking at anything that's owned by the town municipally. We know who to contact, where to go, and what they might have on hand. We list all of our medical-based, healthcare-based facilities, so that includes access to the local hospitals and who to contact, our group homes that we have in town. We even go into anything that has to deal with Tufts. Tufts is a large organization. They have a lot of facilities on that campus and resources that we could access, and we're in constant contact with their emergency management. So we are pretty well versed on their plans, and I can pull up their plans. I can, like right now we're using Tufts as the primary receiver for any canine injuries. We can pull up their plan really quick as to where the landing zone is for the helicopter and how the fire department will respond to that event and the ambulances. So we can pull that up quickly and help guide that if that needs to be done. We list so many things that would be really important if we needed resources or places to evacuate people to.
So that is a very intense, more intense than, hopefully we'll ever need. But I know, Evan, you were an emergency manager and you know the detail. You would give your eye teeth for this type of plan. So that's what we're coming before you tonight, to ask you to accept this plan, and we can move along. And we do need signatures. I don't know how do we go about doing that?
So in the signature folder for the select board this evening, there are all of the signatures all tabbed out from Amber. And she'll give you she'll shoot you a message and you can come grab them, or we can scan them, or whatever you would like to do with the method.
Very good. Thank you. I wasn't sure how that worked.
Yep.
Thank you.
No, she's got it all tabbed out.
Do you have any questions for any of this?
Kick it off by just saying comprehensive is the apt word for this. It was impressive to read through. The spreadsheets are incredible. I really commend the efforts because it's exactly what you want. You want all that information that's right there, accessible at your fingertips in a moment's notice. So, I'd just like to say this is really amazing. Just great work on both your parts, and thank you both.
It's a living document. It will
Right,
continually be
Yep.
updated. I think since the time I even sent it to you, there's been another little update on that spreadsheet. It's like, oh, this one changed, that changed. Just little things.
We went to a dam meeting last week to talk about the recent funding for some new dam fixes, and that provided some new information and a couple plans that we could inject into the spreadsheet so it gets updated as needed.
Compiling that information is such a huge undertaking, but keeping it a living document is critical and up to date. We're only as good as the resource at our disposal. So, thank you both. Does the board have any
Yes,
questions
Mr.
or
Chair.
comments? Yeah, Mr. Alamo.
Yep, I'd like to echo Mr. Chair's sentiments that this is incredible work. It's extremely comprehensive and granular in detail in nature. And it's incredible even to offer the compliment, and then you're still going back to, but there's more that we did yesterday and last night, and tomorrow morning we're going to do something different. So I guess I'd like to say on behalf of the people that will be relying on this, it's probably a lot of people, thank you very much for your passion and your commitment and dedication to the work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's exceptional work.
Thank you.
Ditto for me. I mean, this is a massive amount of work, so as you know better than anybody, the work that you put into this, and reading through this, there's things in here that I never would have thought of that that impact, emergency response and, the residents and the businesses here in town. So it's really incredible job. I guess my first thought is, how do we get this? It's such an incredible document, right? With all this great information. How do we, other than the town website, how do we get this to the resident? How do we get this in their hands?
It's not going to go into the residents' hands.
It's not.
No, this is a plan that is for,
All right. So businesses in town, if they have employees here and there's an emergency, how do they, I guess, help their employees?
Right. So that would all come through the town managing the emergency. So
Okay.
you don't generally give out your ESEMP, SEMP, whatever plan you're putting, because you basically give your playbook to domestic terrorists or foreign terrorists.
Right.
So this is for us to be able to manage an incident.
Okay.
So it has a lot
So
of.
the residents are
great
going to have to
detail.
rely on,
public safety.
right.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I
the,
just-
the big things, the evacuation routes, the, where the shelters are located, all that stuff is already public and it is already
yeah.
out there.
Yeah, but
kind of
the
this
wells
granular
and the
deep
water,
group-
yeah,
right.
I know, I was thinking
Yep.
of that when you mentioned that.
Yep.
It was one other thing that I was gonna ask about. I can't think of it right now. It'll come to me in a second, but it just seems like this would be so helpful to people, and I get the fact that we can't release it, but there's so much great information.
Well, for instance, I'll give you, for instance, on public venues, town park system. Our rec department knows where all the town
Yeah,
parks are.
right.
Okay, they're in this plan, so it's not like this information is not it is available to town residents, but who's in charge of that park? Where is it located? A lot of that information is already within that
Right,
department.
right.
So
Right.
that's why
Yeah,
the things that are interested, if you want to know where a well is, call your water department or district.
right.
Okay.
I remember what it was. So the dam system, the dams that we have in town. So, and you probably accessed this information, but it had to be like maybe 10 or 15 years ago. The state had a requirement that we have all our dams inspected.
Yes.
Right. And if we didn't do it within a certain amount of time, then we would get fined. Right. Of course, they don't help fix.
No, they don't.
Right. It's another unfunded mandate, but we went through the process and we found out that I think we repaired 2 or 3 of the dams here that, had some structural issues. So hopefully you were able to access that information and include
And we
it in-
just had that dam safety meeting. Sorry,
Yeah.
Right.
damn meeting.
Good.
I mean, Kathy clearly wasn't happy with it, but it was probably productive.
Yeah. Good.
yeah.
Good.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Foley,
I move the board vote to approve and sign the comprehensive emergency management plan as presented.
Second.
okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? You good?
Me?
Yeah, I just wanna make sure you-
No,
okay.
I'm good.
Okay, hearing none, by roll call, Ms. Foley,
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo,
Alamo, I.
Ms. Daphne,
Daphne, yeah.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for putting this together. A huge labor. Hopefully, it doesn't have to see the light of day for the most part, but we deeply appreciate.
We'll
that
make
it's
sure
been
that
done.
the public safety has a complete copy, and I do believe that the town planner will find this very helpful. It's all in one place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you both
Thanks,
for coming
Kathy.
Now you also have the next thing.
in. Okay, so moving into our next item of business, we have the Emergency Services Service Zone Plan. We have Mr. Kramer sticking around and Mr. Mead. Welcome.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Ray Mead. This is Todd Kramer, still here. He's going to show you some of the more work that this man does. I'm not sure when do you work anyway? But it's the EMS Service Zone Plan, has to do with the ambulance committee. A little background just on the ambulance committee. It's been around for 39 years. has had a lot of members. Todd is one of, I was going to say the most aggressive member in recent times. I used to be that way, but that was 40 years ago. And Todd has put a lot of effort into working with Central Mass EMS and working on this EMS service zone plan. So, Todd,
Well, so I was
briefly, by the way.
briefly, I was tasked to volunteer to fill a seat at Central Mass EMS, which is our regional council for EMS through the ambulance committee, and that's the governing body for EMS in this region. And when I got there, they said, "Oh, your service zone plan hasn't been completed," and it was mandated in 2008. So the director sat down with me and explained to me what it was for and why we needed it. So we started working on it between me and the fire chief. We started trying to figure out how to fill it out. So basically, it's a document that lists an inventory of all of our resources that go towards attending to an emergency medical situation. So from the top down, it is the ambulance company, the fire department, and the police department, how they respond to emergency medical services or to a health situation. But it's also how do we respond to a situation, an emergency situation, before the ambulance arrives. So we had to go through the municipal departments and look at things that we could do to attend to a medical situation before the ambulance, between when you call 911 and the ambulance arrives. So that would be like AEDs, first aid kits, and the training that the staff has to be able to attend to these situations before the ambulance arrives. And they were very specific. They wanted to know, what do the lifeguards do, how they do their jobs, and that was a big sticking point for the state, is they want to know a lot of information about that. And then as we go through each municipal department, like the library and the schools, we figured out what they have. So if you go to the bottom of the back of the document, you can see each municipal department is described, to detail, what they do and how they can serve the town. But the most important part is dealing with our contract with MedStar, our third service, ambulance service, and then how the fire department is involved with their first response and their first responders and the police department. Once this is completed and submitted to the state, then they look at it, review it, and it just goes into, I guess, a file that says we've completed this plan, and it provides the foundation for our town to grow from then. So legally, that's what it's really for, and it also allows them to provide funding for us for certain things at an emergency level. Because we didn't have one since 2008, they could deny funding to us for emergency supplies and emergency funding for emergency health services. And they almost did at COVID. They almost refused the 14 towns that have not completed it yet. But they decided, because it was COVID and it was a special situation, they did end up sending the funds and the equipment that were needed to be able to protect our staff. So they could refuse funding. So now this prevents that from happening. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
No. Not right now, no.
By the way, the ambulance service that we have in town, MedStar, does a fantastic job. We get reports every month of all of the calls and the times, and Todd has met with Greg over there at MedStar quite a few times. The ambulance committee really only deals with complaints and contracts, and that's it. So when MedStar's contract is up, and I think it's up this year, we'll renegotiate another contract with them, and hopefully we'll be able to stay with them for many years.
No complaints really, Ray? I mean, the service has been...
Craig, Jan asked me tonight, she says, how many complaints have you had? And I said, well, back when we had Himmer ambulance,
Yeah.
long time ago, we used to meet with them every single week, and we had a lot of complaints. I have never had a complaint about MedStar, never.
Wow.
So there are times where you can't get backup because they're busy, but Upton, Northbridge, Westboro, they fill in the gap. We're not that crazy about that, but we'd love to have 2 ambulances in town. That will be in the discussions of the new contract, so.
I've seen them perform before, just happened to be at a site where they were administering care, and they were fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, they do a great job. Great organization. They went through a lot of trouble in COVID and lost. They had 450 employees. They went down to 250 employees. But now they're coming back. They've got a new place right over on Route 20, which is very close to us, and yeah, they do a great job.
And still doing a good job hitting the estimated of 8 minutes or less for those first responses. No problems or anything there.
So yes, there are problems with that. There are issues every month with ambulance calls that go over the 9 minutes. There's always an issue that associates it, with that 9 minutes. But the fire department works with them to provide first responders in a delayed call, and then always when you're gonna call in mutual aid from any other town, you're always gonna have a delay. But fire department fills in on first responder. So
I do think that they do a good job. I get the reports every month as well. They do a good job of, you can just sort and see which ones were over 8 minutes, and then, they have an explanation as to why. And a couple times we've reached out or talked to them during meetings and said, why is this happening? And if it's a problem with MedStar, they've owned it and given us a plan to not have it happen anymore. I found them to be very transparent in that way. And a lot of them are because you can just look at the times and see that they're on back-to-back calls. So, they're coming back into town and getting the next patient and heading out. So that adds to the time. But it is good data that we get every month.
And just so you know, we've averaged over the last 3 years about 135 calls a month in ambulance. Last month was 172. So calls are going up. But we have them 24/7. We have a paramedic level ambulance. It's zero fee to the taxpayer. It's a great deal. It's a great deal.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Sorry. Compiling one thought before we go into motion. I did just want to thank Mr. Kramer again because that was a really sobering realization right there when you mentioned that we were, within striking distance of losing funding because we had not completed this paperwork. So again, the fact that you dove in, took on the challenge, and brought us up to compliance is deeply appreciated. And it was another comprehensive document to read through, and I think educational for everybody who looks through the packet. And reassuring. It was it was nice to read through it and see the plans and what we're getting for responses. So Mr. Alamo.
Thank you for all your work.
Yep, same, and to you, Mr. B, too. Right, good to see you again.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
I move the board vote to approve the EMS service zone plan application and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphiné?
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you both for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Mark,
Yeah, thanks for the text.
it took 5 hours to get through there. They said 2 to 3 hours,
Oh, wow.
and it took 5.
Well,
I had a blast.
that is the guy.
I'll see you.
Have a good night.
Did you want to know? He went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He went to the Eddie Van Halen exhibit, and he texted me.
It's great.
Because when you think of, the king of 10 fingers and 6 strings, I guess I came to mind. Only because I'm a fan, not because I don't have that capability.
Okay. Moving over to Evan for Grafton Upton Railroad update.
Yep. So we have not had a joint meeting with Grafton Upton Railroad. That is not on them, that is on us trying to get all of our schedules to align to get the 4 groups that are trying to meet in the same room. However, I did speak with the chiefs. They do feel that we have very good communication, better than we've had in quite some time. I've noticed that it's better than it's been since I've been here. The fire department has a mass training that will be taking place at Grafton Upton Railroad in September. And speaking of the police department, they don't have a real recurring need, as long as they have good contact and they get alerted to situations in a timely manner, which appears to be happening. Then there's not really a need for them to have an on-site training or anything like that. But we do continue to work with them, and as soon as I can get a meeting together of all of us in the room, we intend to do that. I just don't have it lined up yet. So we originally had pushed for May, but then we had town meeting week and then vacation week, and then it just slipped out. So
It's been a lot, and I think everybody's chief concern was ensuring that the safety training was going on as necessary. You know, it would be great to have them in. We'd certainly like to, continue that relationship and have some discussions with them, but safety first. Any questions or discussion from the board on this? Ms. Foley.
So Evan, when you mentioned, I'm sorry, I might have misheard, mass training, was that the word you used or some other word?
yeah,
What's the training?
and by mass training, I don't know the specifics of what they're training on, but mass as in the call department. So a wide array of our employees
I see.
on site doing the training. So, yeah.
And is this something that is yearly, or this is just, we're doing it in
No, they're
September?
trying. The intent is for this to be biannual,
Okay.
at least, but it hasn't been done for a number of years. So this is the chief trying to get this back up and running, and then get on a set schedule. So fall and spring, or however, I don't know if conditions matter. They want to do one in the winter or whatever. I don't know enough about it for that, but that's the intent there.
Okay, and it's scheduled for September, or it's?
They're ironing out a final date, but the chief did tell me that they've been very responsive and easy to work with. So I think he's just trying to get a date that works for Grafton Upton and also gives him the best opportunity to get the most people on site for the training.
Okay, and then I might have brought this up to you already, Evan.
Okay.
But I've had some communication, perhaps you have as well, and actually it might have come through correspondences, because I encourage the person to do that, relative to the spraying, along the tracks, and the removal of, or when they cut down things and they're just kind of leaving them on people's property. Is this news to you, or do you remember hearing something about this?
No, I remember hearing something about this when I had taken a look at a couple of different sites in Grafton. It appeared to me that all of the trimming and spraying was done in the right of way of the railroad and not on people's property.
Okay.
So, and in speaking with the I'm going to have the title wrong. Let's call it a foreman from Grafton Upton Railroad. He believed that they had remained within the right of way as well. I did have one complaint from a resident who thought that their bushes had been unduly impacted. But when you look at what the railroad's layout is, that was not their actual property. So I haven't found any real issues with what they're doing yet. But I'm happy to look if I've missed somebody's specific issue.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I've had at least 2 people that I know have sent me some correspondence, and I'll follow up, and then I can.
If you
want to
let me know the specific addresses, I can certainly take a stroll and look for myself. Like I said, we got a few through our office during the trimming season, and we just weren't able to substantiate any concerns beyond that's their right of way and they have the right to clear.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Yeah, I believe the full board just looking back quick, received a correspondence, April 23rd about, treatment along the tracks.
Yep, I will review that again, but I believe we had looked into that.
Okay, any additional questions, comments? Okay. I think we can, move on to our next item, communication plan for changes to tax payments.
Yep, so, as we discussed, I think earlier in the spring, we've been working on, ways to better inform residents on the changes to the tax bills. And so we have our next mailing coming up July 1st. That will include a separate sheet. It's a letter sized, just blow in essentially, on very brightly colored paper that highlights if you're opening this, please note there's been a change, look at your bill. And it also explains, again, in bigger font and in a much more visible way, how it's now a to-remit system. We will also work to do a non-emergency code red prior to the next 2 due dates, reminding people. I think any more than that is probably going to turn people off to getting texts that they don't want. Every time I do a non-emergency text, I get at least 15 to 20 people that just text me back, stop. Like I'm a computer, but it's still me. I have to go in and enter in their information. But anyways, so I want to be cognizant of that, because when we do push out very important information, we want to make sure that people are receiving it that want to get it. But anyways, so that's our plan. We will do another push on Facebook and the town website, as well as publish a little reminder. I believe it's already lined up, but I will double check, for the senior center blotter that goes out. Oh, one other point of contact. We do have the ability to email everyone that's in the system for the senior center. We did plan on using that as well. Awesome. I think we're covering our bases. And we have seen, obviously we're between payments, but we did see a decrease in people paying late in the second round. So. Mr. Alamo.
I have to ask Mr. Chair if I can speak.
I know, he wasn't looking at you though.
So, that failure rate is decreasing. Is there like a percentage around the failure rate? So people that don't realize that
our late payments run around 5% of any given bill pretty consistently. I did go back and look at some data. I didn't see a huge noticeable trend in late payments, even given the blip that we had. There's an increase, but it's not outside of the realm of what we would normally see of a standard deviation from our average. So, do I think that this caught more people unaware? I do. Yep, absolutely. I do think that we're going to see people really get the hang of it after this next mailer. The folks that are paying, that aren't paying their tax through their mortgage company, they're going to open that bill. It's going to be real hard to miss that there's a little flag in here that's going to tell me I need to pay. I need to note this. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Andy. Yeah, so we've had this discussion. I think we should be sending people quarterly bills, and I know that this is more common, which I learned. It would be interesting to see the percentage of people that don't pay their taxes through their mortgage company. Their home is paid for or whatever, and what the percentage of late fees for those folks are, because they're the ones that physically have to write a check, or they have to come in here, right? With a mortgage company, they're just collecting that money, so it's not, they don't have to think about it, right?
Right.
So it'd be interesting to know that percentage.
Yep.
And now my other question was, are people paying early? like, are people paying, so they're getting a notice, like, they'll get an invoice, right?
Yeah.
And are they just paying the first 2 quarters early because they don't want to forget in October to pay the second? So are we receiving funds early, what are we generating from interest potentially on that money?
Well, if they paid early, we wouldn't generate anything. It just goes into the normal tax flow of the town. We only generate interest if they pay late. Oh, you mean what are we getting on our bank account?
Yeah,
for
yeah,
more money
yeah,
sitting there?
yeah.
That's gonna be real hard to parse.
I can't imagine that there's very many people that are paying ahead,
No,
paying an entire year.
Well,
You're
people
saying
are concerned with paying. I guess A, they have to have the money available, and B, and if
they're paying
if
double.
they're saying
I can.
Right.
I guess the easiest way or the easiest number to look at would be how many early pays do we get in a
Yeah.
quarter? How many early pays did we get? Without going too far down that rabbit hole with the other questions, I think that would be telling. Because if there's 5, it's probably not worth doing the math on trying to get all the way to the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such an oddity, but
right.
but we can certainly look at it. I mean, the interesting thing that came of this for me is that the way that we capture data and get data out of our system, it's great for treasurer collectors, but for folks like us that are trying to spot a trend, it's a little harder to mine that data. So we can parse it out more.
It'd be interested to see, like I said, the people that aren't running it through their mortgage company, what the percentage, because I'm sure that's where they're all coming from, right? And I don't know what percentage. Of
Yeah,
people don't
I
have
think
a
the
mortgage,
way that we would,
except for businesses, but I mean, if the average bill is 10 grand, to send an invoice for a $2,500 tax bill, I think it's not too much to ask.
Yeah, I mean, again, just for people listening at home, the whole intent was that, the board had asked that we continue to look for ways to be more efficient and to save money.
Yep.
And this is a $15,000 annual savings to the town of Grafton. So, if we do this experiment and it's not working and the board says we want to reverse it, that is exactly what we will do. But this was not we want to make things harder for people.
Right.
Move.
Right. No, I get it.
So.
Thanks, Sam.
Absolutely.
Ms. Foley?
So thanks, Evan. All those things kind of hit things that we had talked about in terms of how do we get information out to as many people as we can. Hopefully at some point we have a signboard out there as well, and we'll be able to put this out there. But I do think that, going through 2 calendar years of this, so we have 1 more, I think, right?
Yep.
That folks will get the hang, and then certainly all of us who do just pay our taxes outside of our mortgage, with the mailing, I think that will be super helpful. And the gentleman that came in on election day told me that he has a system and he's all set, and he thanked.
Okay.
He's good to go from here on out, so that was good.
I heard we have small fees for online payment or direct. There's nothing that we can do about that on the town side.
No, and I've worked on this for literally 8 years because it's infuriating to me.
Yeah.
But that is the cost of us being able to provide that service, and Mass General Law does not really give us a good option to work around that. There are towns that don't charge you a fee, but you're paying the fee,
They bake it
just in a
into the
different
other-
way.
Yeah.
And so what winds up happening is that, and this is my opinion, but I think this is an opinion of a lot of town administrators, is that, if you are getting the convenience of using whatever method you want to use and the bank is charging us a fee, why should that be then paid by other taxpayers that are just using a check or whatever it is? You can sign up for ACH, it's free. I think debit cards are less money. There's a scale. And I realize that some people have to do what they have to do to make ends meet, and we need to be able to provide that service. But that is not a town of Grafton fee. We're not getting that money. That's the cost of running the system that the bank charges us.
I had a feeling. It's just like you said. It's infuriating. It's unfortunate. You know, we're
Oh, we hate telling people you want a dog license for $10. The cheap fee to use your credit card's $4.95. You know, it really is not great great customer model. But I've really tried to find a workaround to this, and we're just not able to do it unless we want to again build that fee into the tax rate, which is not necessarily fair. So,
thank you for clarifying.
sure.
Any other discussion? All right. We can move on to the intermunicipal agreement for animal control and animal inspection services.
Yep. So you have already heard our mea culpa on our budget issue. The rest of it is really just status quo. We are not changing anything with the town of Westboro. We are partnered as well with the town of Shrewsbury, although in a little bit of a lesser role. That's really only for vacation coverage and pound usage, which doesn't impact us. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to operate as we have been.
Any questions or discussion from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
I move the board vote to extend the intermunicipal agreement for animal control and animal inspector services among the towns of Westboro, Grafton, and Shrewsbury for a 1-year period ending June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Foley?
Yeah, so just to clarify, so on this budget, the 38% of animal control salary, 10% administrative fee, et cetera, that's all gonna come in at approximately 38% of what we said at town meeting?
Yeah, so it should be just shy of $40,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like 37 and change is what it comes out to be exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Hanley, if you're watching at home, I know he was one of the gentlemen who asked a question at town meeting. I hope he finds the answer appropriate now and is happy with the result. By roll call, Ms. Foley.
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo.
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphin.
Dauphin, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Grant of conservation restriction for 45 Creeper Hill Road.
So 45 Creeper Hill Road is a parcel of land on Creeper Hill, but that abuts a portion of land that is owned by the Nelson Park Trust, or Town of Grafton. And so the the Greater Worcester Land Trust had approached the town to hold the conservation restriction on that property that they are putting into conservation. So just like we do for the Grafton Land Trust, or the Grafton Land Trust does for us, this is how that system is designed to work. So pretty straightforward in my opinion.
Any questions or discussion from the board?
Where does it abut the Nelson Park property?
So Nelson Park owns
45, so
it's across the street.
Which side it's on?
I do know. I used to live on Creeper Hill Road.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I can give you the exact because it doesn't have a Creeper Hill address. Give me 1 second because I just looked at it today.
Yeah, it's down by the dam,
Right.
but I don't know where the Nelson Park.
Oh, we might have some input.
Somebody that maybe
This
knows that.
gentleman is from the
Greater Worcester Land Trust.
Greater Worcester Land Trust. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Bailing me out.
Nelson Park actually has multiple parcels. This is one of the ones that is not near the library. It backs up to the railroad track by Elm Street, which is sort of a disconnected piece. So it's stretching from the Boston Worcester commuter rail along Elm Street towards Creeper Hill Road, but it comes just short of actually getting out to the street. As a result, there's no public access to this section of Nelson Park. So it's sort of this orphaned piece of town conservation land. We're trying to create a front door both to the park and also to the Quinsigamon River. At where Creeper Hill Road crosses the river at the dam, that is the location of the parcel.
Yeah.
Right there.
Never knew Nelson Park owned property on the
there it
other
is.
side of 140.
13 acres along the bank of the
Quinsigamon
Quinsigamon River.
It's a dead end street, right?
Right.
The parcel address is 38 Elm Street.
Yeah.
But it's, if you look at Elm Street, it dead ends, it's kind of straight in front of you.
Yep.
If you could access it, but that's not. Up
There's no good public access on Elm Street because it's all yards. So this would be creating a front door for that property.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining, sir.
Any
great.
additional
You'll get me someday.
questions or discussions on
That's amazing.
the topic?
We almost stumped, kind of, but not fully. You had a little support, though.
There's a lot of
We did.
From the Grafton.
Good thing, yeah.
He knows everything about the town, though, Victoria, so, I mean.
All right, you gonna vote?
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
enough jokes. I move the board vote to approve and sign the grant of conservation restriction for 45 Creepy Hill Road.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Foley.
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo.
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphiné.
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously.
It's the little things.
All right. Service agreement for 95 North.
Yeah, so you let me give the high level and then you can
Sure.
get into any specifics. So if you remember, we are building a park at 95 North Street. This was a project partially funded with CPC money. When we went out to bid, our cost estimates from our architect were not even close. We had budgeted around 685,000 was the initial number, and it came in well over 1.2. So we went back to the drawing board and have been doing some value engineering and some kind of creative work on our side, utilizing some town departments, a little more than is normally within their scope. And we've been able to get this project to come down and be inside of the funding that we've received. And give everyone what we had told them that we were gonna give them. There is one minor change. I did speak to the chair of CPC about this issue, and we went back and looked at how this was presented. So there's a conceptual drawing that shows this boardwalk over a wetland. If you're looking at 95 North off to the left, that boardwalk is coming in like
$291,000.
Right. Almost 300.
It's 70 feet long. So what we did was
That seems like a lot.
it does seem like a lot. We agreed. So what we did was we just altered the path coming back. It doesn't demonstrably shorten the accessible trail in any way. It just makes it make a left before a stone wall instead of after it. And we connect back up, and we're going to save $291,000. So the wetland area that this was supposed to run along is still immediately off to the side of the trail. We'll still be able to put some nice little descriptors there so people can learn when they're going by. They just won't be doing it from an elevated $290,000 walkway. So,
Crazy.
but otherwise, we have our bog bridges out in the back. We've got our concrete pad. We've got our pavilion. We've got our nature play. We've got our accessible walkway. We've got our nature trails, and we've got our parking lot. So, we're doing what we said we would do. Just took us a little longer to figure out how to get there in today's market. So, anyways, Will, that's my high level.
Nitty gritty, we, followed the competitive bid process. We got 7 bids. The low bidder was $401,633, which is Busy Bee Nursery, and that is the contract that is before the board tonight.
I guess kicking off the questions. So you said we allocated
685,000.
685,000. The first alternate there that was listed in the bid being the long boardwalk. I assume we're 86ing at this point, but is there any interest in the other two alternates that were listed?
So under procurement law, you can't do that. You have to award alternates in the order that you list them. So to get to alternate 2, you have to award alternate 1.
Okay.
And so we're still getting alternates 2 and 3. We're just doing them differently, correct?
No. Alternate 2 and 3 are not in the scope.
What is 2 and 3?
2 and 3, 2 is the boardwalk deep in the woods on the extended nature trail, and 3 is the informal play area.
We're getting both of those. No, we are.
Okay.
We're just doing them ourselves.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that's not gonna get done is the $291,000 boardwalk.
Fair. The only other question I had was, it said, work is to commence within 10 days of the notice to proceed. Do we have any idea when we would expect that to be issued?
Well, first we need you to vote this,
Right.
and then we can issue the notice to proceed, and then it'll be 10 days after that.
So it's a quick process.
Yep. It is. No, all kidding aside, we will have a negotiation with the person or the Busy Bee Nursery as far as getting it scheduled on their end, getting it scheduled on our end, aligning the things that we need to do. So, but we can put that as part of the TA update moving forward as far as us getting a more hard and fast.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
this is low bid.
Yes.
So in that context, sometimes the low bid leaves things out or doesn't always hit the exact mark of the requirement. Have you gone through that and acknowledged that they are giving us everything that we required?
Yep.
How do you get to it?
You go up North Street and you stop at 95.
Well, there's houses there though.
No, sorry. There's a.
I mean, you're funny. I like.
So you know where Stonegate Circle is there on the left?
Yes.
Going up? So it's right at that corner. There is a stone wall, and we are in between that the house on North Street there and the stone wall for Stonegate. There's a little parking area right there.
It will benefit from some signage.
Seeing Ball's house.
He knows
Of course
that.
he
Yeah.
knows that.
Used
Okay,
to
and
be-
they're cool
used
with
to be
this?
Christmas tree
Who
farm.
is it
They
again?
don't live there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
The people that do live in the Ingville house?
Yeah, no, it used to be a Christmas. It's actually a very nice walk. It used to be a Christmas tree farm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of old, what were Christmas trees, but it goes all out in the back. Nice meadow area into the woods. It's a nice.
A lot of nice old stone walls.
It's got narrow frontage. It probably was it wind up being parking for 4 plus a handicap.
8, I think.
Oh,
Nice.
4 to 8.
Thank you.
That part I don't remember. I do know we're doing the nature play in the boardwalk thing in the woods though. Even if I have to build it myself,
answer.
it's gonna be in there. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay.
Wait, there's a hand up. I see it.
Ms. Foley.
Yeah, I just wanted to commend Evan and, I went to all these outreach meetings for this project, or whenever that was years ago, and kind of watched it explode in terms of the what they were, looking to encompass. And just, I felt at the time it just didn't seem realistic. So, Evan, I don't know if you've mentioned that you guys, DPW has done a lot of that site work already. I mean, I've walked through here. You can access it, right? You'll see it, Mark. It's right off of North Street, as Evan said, but and it's a nice walk. So it's great that our town, Evan, in compilation with the DPW, was able to do a lot of the site work to save us money, and then additionally just looked at the project a little bit, scaled it back and made it more realistic. So I think this is great, and it's in keeping with what Mrs. Engvall envisioned. So I'm glad that we were able to pull it back and actually make it happen.
Plus, we're in the process of new sidewalks in that area. Some of them have been poured, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah. Mr. Alamo, we haven't had a field trip in a while. That's my neck of the
Ooh,
woods. If you want
we
to swing
are
by,
due.
we can go for a walk.
You guys let me know.
Right.
Do it on
All right.
Friday. We can bring timber. Boom.
Oh,
There we go.
I'm in. Always with timber. Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
I move the board vote to approve and sign the contract with Busy Bee Nursery and Landscape for the creation of a passive recreation space at 95 North Street.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, I.
Ms. Dauphiné?
Dauphin AI.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passed unanimously. Okay, next up, we have the Fire Chief Employment Agreement. So, kicking this off, this is probably a little bit backwards from public perspective. Tonight, the board is going to discuss any feedback or questions we may have about Chief Matthews' next contract, with the goal of final approval tonight. That contract needs to be in place by the end of June. The select board completed the fire chief's evaluation in May, and copies with the compiled feedback have been distributed to the board, but we have not discussed them formally in session yet, or with the chief. So our goal is to have that discussion and review his evaluation in full at our next quarterly check-in with him in one of our July meetings. So as I said, tonight we're discussing the contract extension. As a little bit of a precursor, I'd just like to share a few highlights of feedback that were compiled from the evaluation that will be for public consumption later. But some of the descriptions: committed, hardworking, fair, and well suited for the job, excellent command presence, well respected and proactive, increased training has improved and recruitment has improved overall morale, acclimated faster than expected, keeps missteps to a minimum, owns them, and largely self-corrects. And one direct quote that he is a stellar chief.
Oh.
Yeah. There were a lot of positives, a lot of high praise. Mr. Dauphiné and Ms. Roffin were our representatives during the negotiation process, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dauphiné.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like Andy said, me and Matt met with the chief twice. We're able to reach an agreement on the contract. So we have, you heard the comments, we have an excellent fire chief. We're very fortunate. Somebody who cares deeply about the department and the town. He grew up here. He's such a great fit. It's a win-win, I think, for the community and for him. And I know he realizes that. You know, he loves the job, and in the last 3 years, he's proven himself to be a great leader. He brings a lot of enthusiasm to the job, and he's lifted that department up over those last 3 years, and it's very easy to see that. So we went into the negotiations with that spirit, and we had a first initial meeting with him, which went very well. We came back and brought the information back to the board and went back for our final meeting. Our chairman was with me, and in the matter of about 10 minutes, we had an agreement. So I think it's an agreement that's fair to our chief and the performance that he's shown us over the last 3 years, and it's a fair deal for the town where we feel like it's a win-win again. So we're continuing to have our current chief. We're happy about that, and for another 3 years. So moving forward from there.
And he's happy about that.
He is. Yeah, he is. And we expressed the board, the board feels really strongly that he's the right pick, and he's doing a great job, and we had that discussion with him during the conversation. So
any questions or comments from the board?
I will, Mr. Chair. I was going to wait for Ms. Foley. I will.
Mr. Alamo?
Yeah, just echo Craig's sentiments, and also to acknowledge for those interested, when they see the contract, they'll know that we'll want to be competitive with other towns around us and make sure that we're doing the right thing to support our a well-earned the chief who's earned this, and also to make sure that we keep him, because all the things that Craig said, he's a solid player for us. He's outstanding, and he's young, he's passionate, he's got a ton of energy, he's got really great vision, and those things that you read, Andy, I may have heard one or two of those things along the way too, so just couldn't agree more, and fully supportive of this contract and this chief.
Agreed. Anyone else? Okay, take a motion.
Nope. Okay, Mr. Chair. I move the board vote to approve and sign the fire chief employment agreement with Eric Matthew for the term of July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2028.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphiné?
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passed unanimously. Congratulations, Chief, and thank you for your service so far. Okay, final item on new business is the Fisherville Pond Dam Contract Amendment number 1.
So, for about a year and a half or so, Ty and Bond is doing survey work at the Fisherville Dam for the town. This amendment adds 3 things to that scope of work. It's additional hydrologic analysis, additional survey and design development in preparation for a FEMA high hazard grant. The funding for this comes solely out of a grant that we got probably about 2 years ago, due to the work of our town planner, Fiona Coughlin. So the change is for $51,000, and that exhausts the remaining grant funding from the EEA grant.
Any questions or discussions from the board? Okay, you can take a motion.
I move the board vote to approve amendment number 1 to the contract with Ty and Bond for the dam at Fisherville Pond and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphin?
Dauphin, aye.
Jefferson, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, select board reports.
Nothing from me.
Nothing.
Ms. Foley? Okay. Well, y'all can sit tight for a minute and I'll go through some. So the Grafton Water District Commissioners meeting was earlier this month. The pump motor that was being rebuilt for East Street is reinstalled. Everything's running again. They're 99% complete with correcting the leaks identified in their leak detection report, which was good. They're working on some bylaw and regulation updates to reduce the amount of overall system loss. There was some additional discussion this past meeting about not overextending our water capacity that carried over for last month. Just catching everybody up, Ms. Foley had mentioned that the district had received an email inquiry from a commercial real estate company asking if they could handle 400,000 gallons per day request. No other additional info or details were provided. The water district told them no, that they cannot handle that volume of water at that time. For reference, it's basically what our Follette Street wellhead produces in one day and would dedicate one of the 4 wellheads that the Grafton Water District oversees solely to one business. They indicated that they could handle that request once treatment facilities are online in the next 4 to 5 years, but also questioned, what kind of business could possibly draw that much water, for what purpose. They said, these types of anonymous inquiries aren't uncommon, but even if they had answered yes, they definitely have a lot more questions about the proposed business's water usage. They did suggest discussing or revisiting the numbers in the supply report that they produced last year, which we spoke about briefly earlier this meeting, to make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as available capacity, both now and in the future. Our current capacity can support all known proposed development and those currently in production. The discussion would focus exclusively on future growth. I told them that we had proposed having a similar discussion with both water districts about our future growth and capacity, and would love to host them at one of our meetings soon. Amber is trying to work out the details. I believe right now we have them scheduled for the July 1st meeting. I also was able to attend the CMRPC annual meeting and awards dinner on Thursday. The town of Grafton received the CMRPC's Community Planning Award, recognizing all the work that Fiona, the planning department, and the planning board have done over the last year, like their handling of the MBTA zoning overlays and various commercial and multifamily zoning updates, among other initiatives. It was to me anyways, I think a special recognition because it comes from peers, the people within the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, as well as officials and departments from other towns across central Massachusetts. Bob Hassinger was there. He is actually the vice chair of the CMRPC Executive Committee. Dave Robbins, Fiona, Natalia, and myself were all in attendance for some heavy Grafton representation. I made sure to cheer loudly and yell for Fiona when it was our time. But it was a really nice night. We got a nice award out of it. So again, I'd just like to thank Fiona for all the work that she's done and continues to do. She was mentioned a couple times tonight for more of her grant work. She really is a superstar, and that department runs really well. So thank you, everybody. That's it for me.
It's great.
TA report.
Yeah. So as far as oh man, we have a rough one.
You want me to go back so you can start over?
Yeah, I kind of do. DPW projects, Millbury Street, we did, I mentioned last time, that equipment was being delivered. That is all mostly in place. They were waiting for school to wrap up, so school is now Now RAP, they're gonna start in earnest. I also wanted to circle back at a comment that Craig had made or at a previous meeting about the east entrance to the school being in really rough shape. So we are gonna pave pretty much that whole few hundred feet. It's like 200 and something, almost 300 feet. So that should really take care of that whole area.
Yeah.
Start from scratch. So that should be really nice, and I know the schools are really thrilled with that as well.
Some of the bus company too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, boom, boom.
North Street sidewalk is ongoing. If you're in that area or take a ride through, you'll see them working pretty consistently, making some good progress there. We are waiting for word from the state of when they're going to start paving 140. If you do travel that route, you will see them doing a lot of work on the shoulders and, re-leveling and moving manholes and not moving them, adjusting them. That's the term. So that's close. They had told us originally that they thought late May is when they would pave. But it does appear that they've done some additional drainage work down the other end, so maybe that's what's slowing them down a little bit. Fitzpatrick Road Bridge, we're still just waiting for that precast culvert. It's in the queue. George Hill Road, the only update I have is probably not going to be enough for the folks on George Hill Road because it's very non-specific, but I am working on it. We are waiting for an approval from the Army Corps of Engineers before we can post our documents for bids. So I spoke to Paul this afternoon. We are trying to rush the Army Corps of Engineers as best we can, and also just kind of nail down a timeline so that we can better present to the residents of that area when we think certain dominoes are going to fall. So more to come on that. I'm hopeful that by the next meeting we've got really solid information, but right now we're just waiting on the Army Corps.
One question: what is, if you know, the Army Corps, like what role do they play in this? Like, what is triggering something that they need to do?
So
for this?
it's my understanding that because of the change in flow of water into the basin, that we're then going to impact Army Corps of Engineer structures downstream, not necessarily in Grafton.
Wow, you mean the basin we did at Stowe
No,
Road?
I mean we're changing all these outfalls, and so we have to get all our
The
calculations.
hydrology is changing,
Correct.
and
That's the word, hydrology. Thank you. Yep. So
all right.
that's what we're. That's
Is
what
that
we're-
going to impact that Stowe Road drainage? Is that basin down there? Is that
It's
the
the-
basin you're talking about on
Yeah.
Stowe?
Yeah, that should be, there should be no impact to that. We are really not increasing flow, we're just altering discharge.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but it's a lot of water. That place,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it, I gotta be honest with you.
It's crazy.
It's,
So once that's
water.
once that's done,
Yeah.
once we get that, then we are ready to go out to bid.
Correct.
We have all the bid documents ready.
We're ready to go. Yep.
Okay. And then what's the process from there? Once we put that out to bid, is it 60 days
I
or
think it's
90?
30 days is what our bid period's gonna be.
That's it?
And, yep, and at the culmination of 30 days, we can pick if we wanted it to be out for longer, but generally what we do is 30 days. So.
That seems short for the scope of work.
Yep. Well,
involved,
I
but-
will say though too, we will also work with VHB and follow their direction on.
We just want to have as many bidders
Right.
as
If
possible.
they say, no, you want to do, we normally do 30 days. If VHB says, due to the scope of work, you should really do 60 days, then that's what we'll do.
Yep.
I would be shocked if Paul hasn't already had that conversation with them, but I haven't had that conversation with Paul.
Yeah.
So we will circle back on that.
Yeah, we want to make sure that, if 30 is enough, fine, but we definitely want to make sure we have enough time for people to,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
a lot
'cause
of work.
it's a big project.
Yeah, it is.
Yep,
Yeah.
it is. This slide hasn't changed. We're still getting our after school summertime paving lined up, and I'll have this slide updated for July. Metro West Regional, we continue to move right along. We've got our executive director. He's doing a great job. I've had a few meetings with him so far. I'm really impressed with his scope of knowledge and his ability to navigate, the 15 different personalities that are in the room at any given time. 6 of them being chiefs who are, real easy to navigate as always. But that doesn't happen with town administrators. We're all very chill and have no egos whatsoever.
None.
So no, but he's doing a great job. We did just get awarded our second round of the 911 grant, and we are working with 911 on a borrowing project to fund the entire $15 million project through a bond issued by Metro West Regional 911. So we continue to work on that. It's a time-intensive project, but we're getting to a point where the town managers and administrators will back out a little bit, and we won't have to spend so much time on the project. So the only update to this slide that I have is the concrete procurement is live, and so we're hopeful to get some good bids in that process and be able to get that poured and stay on our timeline with the National Fitness Campaign folks. So pretty exciting stuff.
Okay.
That's it.
It's great.
Will we need to see like any substantial regrading on that side of the building when they put the pad in?
No, well, it depends how you define substantial. But if you look at the way the grade shifts, it stays flat for about 30 feet and then starts to taper in the final 8. So what I would anticipate when we talk about regrading is that, you'll dig the footing you'll dig the pad where the pad's going to go. You'll use some of that to regrade that slope. But I don't, just looking at it, eyeballing it, I don't see that it's going to really change anything drastically. It'll come up a little bit. We'll push it off a little bit. We'll slope it in with the rest of the yard and be good. While we're talking about it, I don't know if any of you have noticed the grass at the municipal center is looking better than it has since I've been here, at least.
Ooh.
It's we've got no bald spots around the building. The thing stripes up real nice.
It
It's
looks
looking
great.
good.
It looks great.
I'm
How are you keeping it up?
Thank you for doing that.
Of
How's that
all
happening?
the things I've done since coming to Grafton, I think that's what
your
I'm most excited about.
Greatest accomplishment right there.
The hill's coming along. It's not not there yet, but it'll get there. It's
Yeah.
coming. We're happy with it, and we did just do some new native plantings around the building too. So we're going to continue to spruce that up as well.
Probably not a lot of loom on that side hill.
There is not, that side hill is rough. It's hard as a rock too. So we've been working on it, but it's coming together. So
No, it looks so much better.
Yeah.
I did have a question. Is there any update on the Harding Street and the Faulkner Road?
I don't have one for you this meeting, but I will get one for you for July 1st. Yep.
I'm hoping that we can go to fall town meeting. Hopefully we can go and if we have everything and
Make some
see
tweaks.
if the town will accept these as public
Yes,
ways, you know.
that is the desired timeline, and I don't have any information to suggest that we won't hit that timeline, but I will double check with Mr. Canoyer.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. One other thing, I just wanted to give a shout out to the highway department, the folks over on Faulkner Road, which we did take as or we're doing the layout for and everything. The highway department went and did some emergency repairs over there and helped those folks out, and they were super appreciative. We got a whole bunch of feedback from that area, thanking highway for all their work and what they did. So, we're moving towards the end goal here, but in the meantime, we're doing as much as we can, and the people seemed really appreciative, which is
great.
very nice.
I think Mr. Fleming's been maintaining that road for the
A long
last
time. Yep.
40 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's but no, that was great to see all that outreach, because we don't always get the positive feedback, and that was really good to see for the highway folks. So very nice. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
That
Great way
concludes
to
my
end it.
presentation for this evening.
Okay, anybody have any correspondence they wish to discuss? Nope. We can move into resignations.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Elmo.
I move the board vote to acknowledge and accept the resignation of Bill Tufts from the Conservation Commission.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphiné?
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo?
I move the board vote to acknowledge and accept the resignation of Aaron Phil from the Accessibility Advisory Commission.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Foley?
Foley, aye.
Mr. Alamo?
Alamo, aye.
Mr. Dauphiné?
Dauphiné, aye.
Jefferson, aye.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo?
I move the board vote to acknowledge and accept the resignation of Dave Therian from the Historical Commission.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Foley,
Fully aye.
Mr. Alamo,
Alamo, I.
Mr. Daphne,
Dauphin,
Jefferson, aye. Okay, we are through resignations. Public comment. Anybody for public comment? Come on up. We do limit everybody to a maximum of 3 minutes, so we'll give you a little signal if you're getting close and ask you to land the plane.
Can it be 3 minutes, 4 seconds?
We'll allow it.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Pretty good. Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yes,
and address?
Kevin Brown, Jr. of South Grafton. I'm an independent political activist here in town, a member of the Grafton Cultural Council, Grafton Group, and occasionally I've advocated for some of you in your re-election, which I will also be helping you with next year, of course. I meant to send you guys, I did send an email requesting the open spot on the Traffic Advisory Committee, but I guess you guys didn't receive it. Maybe I sent it to the wrong person or the wrong group or something.
That's actually a TA appointment. We don't handle the traffic advisory. So
I'll have to, I can review that and take a look. We also, I don't follow the same policy as the select board. So if you ask to be reappointed, you get reappointed. And so there might have been some confusion over whether there was an actual open seat or not. So the select board posts everything as an open seat, but I do not.
Is it a 5-member committee?
It is a, yes, 5-member. Thank
5
you.
members, okay.
So, but we do keep everything that we get on file. I will make sure that it came to the right place because I don't recall seeing it, but we can also keep your application on file and reach out when there is an opening.
Thank you, Evan. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Just one more thing I wanted to add. I wanted to talk really quick about the No Kings Rally. On June 14th, 2025, there were a series of No Kings Rally held throughout the United States, including one here in Grafton. I believe it was on Maplewood Drive. I'd like to just voice my opinion on it. I believe that we can come to a compromise between supporting our ICE officers and finding pathways for migrants who are willing to go through the standard protocols. But I do not believe that this rally was the correct way to do it. I believe that this rally was rebellion against our ICE officers, and I do not support it, and I just wanted to state my opinion that I am not with them. I believe that we can come to a compromise, and this was not the way to achieve it. That's just my personal opinion that I wanted to speak.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Alamo?
I have a comment.
Sure.
It's a very important comment. So I just wanted to wish a very happy 3rd birthday to Timber Bassard.
I'll let them know.
It's a big day.
It was
one of my favorites of all time.
There you go.
Employee of the year.
Employee of the year for sure.
You have no hands on Zoom.
Thank you, William.
Welcome.
Bringing it home.
Okay, close public comment. We have no meeting minutes to address tonight, so motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. By roll call, Ms. Foley,
Fully aye.
Mr. Alamo,
Alamo, I.
Ms. Dauphin,
Dauphin,
Jefferson, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.